walked out on my husband, laughing at his foolish business ideas, thinking I'd found someone better. Years later, I knocked on his door, only for a powerful CEO to answer. He smiled and said, "Oh, you must be her ex. She's doing just fine. Now, sign these and move along." I never imagined I'd be sharing my story here, but life has a way of humbling us. I hope my experience serves as a cautionary tale. About 10 years ago, I was married to Mike. We lived in Austin, Texas. Mike was a dreamer, always talking about starting his own tech company. He had ideas about creating software solutions for businesses, but to me, it all seemed unrealistic. I was the practical one, working a steady job in marketing to keep us afloat. Mike would spend hours after work sketching out plans, researching, and coding. He believed in his vision, but I couldn't see it. I wanted stability, and his dreams felt like a gamble. Our conversations often turned into arguments. I'd say things like, "Mike, we need a reliable income. Your ideas are just fantasies." He'd respond, "I know it's risky, but I feel this could really work." Around this time, I met Daniel at a work conference in Dallas. He was confident, successful, and had a clear career path in finance. We started talking, and I felt an attraction. He offered the stability I craved. We began an affair. I justified it by telling myself that Mike's head was always in the clouds, while Daniel was grounded. Eventually, I couldn't live the double life anymore. One evening, I sat Mike down and told him I was leaving. I said, "I can't keep doing this. I need someone who has it together." He looked at me, hurt in his eyes, and simply nodded. We divorced shortly after. I moved in with Daniel, thinking I'd found the life I wanted. At first, things were good. But over time, I realized Daniel was controlling. He made decisions without consulting me and dismissed my opinions. Our relationship lacked the depth and friendship I'd had with Mike. After a few years, Daniel and I broke up. Life didn't get easier. I lost my job during a company downsizing and struggled to find another. Bills piled up, and I felt lost. One day, while scrolling through social media, I saw a post about Mike. He had started a company called Innovatech Solutions and was making waves in the tech industry. I was shocked. The man whose dreams I had dismissed was now a successful entrepreneur. Desperate and filled with regret, I decided to reach out to Mike. I wanted to apologize and maybe seek his advice. I found the address for Innovatech Solutions headquarters and went there. Walking into the sleek office building, I felt out of place. The receptionist greeted me, and I asked to see Mike. She gave me a curious look but directed me to the top floor. As the elevator doors opened, I stepped into a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Mike was there, looking sharp in a tailored suit. He seemed different, more confident. Before I could speak, another man entered. He introduced himself as James, Mike's business partner. He handed me an envelope and said, "Oh, you must be her. Mike's ex. She's doing just fine now. Here are some papers for you to sign. It's best if you move along." I was taken aback. I opened the envelope to find a check, a substantial amount. Enough to help me get back on my feet. I looked at Mike, tears in my eyes, and said, "I'm so sorry for everything. I was wrong." Mike nodded. "I appreciate the apology, but we've both moved on. I hope this helps you as you figure things out." I left the office feeling a mix of emotions, regret, shame, and a strange sense of closure. Mike had become the man he always dreamed of being, and I had been too blind to see his potential. Life has a way of teaching us lessons. Sometimes, the dreams we dismiss are the ones that lead to greatness. And sometimes, the people we leave behind are the ones who end up showing us what we lost. I didn't sleep that night. After leaving Mike's office, I went back to the one-bedroom apartment I'd been renting since I lost my job. I sat on the couch, the check still in my hand, staring at it like it was a slap across the face. I didn't cash it. I couldn't. Something about that moment, seeing Mike again, realizing what he'd become, it shook something loose inside me. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost a man with a vision, Someone who had stood by me when I was struggling with self-worth, who cooked for me when I worked late, who used to write little sticky notes and leave them on my coffee mug before he left for work. I threw that all away for someone with a polished resume and a nicer watch. Over the next few days, I tried to distract myself. I cleaned the apartment, applied for more jobs, even tried reconnecting with old friends, most of whom had drifted away after the divorce. It was a lonely process. One afternoon, I found myself driving past our old neighborhood, past the tiny coffee shop we used to go to every Sunday. I don't know what I was hoping for. Maybe I thought I'd bump into him. Maybe I wanted to be seen, even if it was from a distance. Then something happened I wasn't expecting. I got a call from an unknown number. I answered, and it was James, the guy from Mike's office. He said, "Mike wants to talk. Can you meet him tomorrow at 2 p.m.? Same place." My stomach turned. I said yes before I even had time to think. The next day, I was back at that high-rise office. Mike was alone this time. He looked tired but calm. He gestured for me to sit. "I wasn't fair to you," he started. Back then, I was so obsessed with making something of myself that I stopped being present. "I know I gave you reasons to feel unsure." I shook my head. "No, Mike. Don't say that. I was the one who walked away." He looked at me. "I don't want to dig up the past. But I also didn't want things to end with that envelope. There's something you should know." That's when the twist hit me like a punch to the gut. "The man you left me for, Daniel," Mike said slowly, "he tried to invest in my company last year." I didn't know who he was until I saw the name on the paperwork. When I asked about his background, it all clicked. I didn't take his money. I felt my throat close up. "But that's not the part that matters," Mike continued. "What matters is that he started spreading rumors about you in the industry. Petty stuff. That you were unstable. That's probably why you're having trouble finding work." I had my assistant look into it. My mouth dropped open. "Why would he?" "People don't like losing," Mike said. He lost. That moment was like having the air sucked out of me. Not only had I lost Mike, but now the man I left him for had burned what little I had left. "I didn't want you to feel like I pitied you," Mike said. "That's why I didn't tell you earlier. But I can't sit and watch someone get stomped on just because they made a mistake." I couldn't speak. I just stared at him. Then he dropped another bomb. "There's a position open at Innovatech," he said. "Mid-level marketing. You're qualified. But I'm not offering it because I feel bad. I'm offering it because I know you're good." I was stunned. After everything I did, he still saw something in me? But before I could answer, the office door opened. A woman walked in. She was tall, confident, dressed in a power suit that probably cost more than my rent. She had a soft smile on her face, but there was a glint of curiosity in her eyes as she looked at me. "Sorry to interrupt," she said. "Am I early?" Mike stood up. "No, you're right on time." "Amelia, this is an old friend." I could tell from the way he looked at her, he had moved on. She wasn't just a business partner. She was someone important. The kind of woman who saw him for who he was and stayed. I smiled weakly and stood. "I should go." Mike nodded, but before I could turn to leave, he said, "Think about the job. No strings. Just a clean slate." I walked out with my heart pounding. Everything felt upside down again, but this time, it wasn't just regret. It was something else too. A weird mix of hope, pain, and uncertainty. Like life was giving me a second chance, but with no promises. And I still hadn't decided if I deserved to take it. That night, I didn't sleep again. I kept replaying the conversation with Mike over and over in my head. What kind of man still offers a job to the woman who walked out on him? And why would he still protect my name when he had every reason not to? I felt like I was caught in a loop, stuck between shame and something like gratitude, maybe even guilt. But underneath all of that, there was something deeper that I hadn't allowed myself to name. Regret. I didn't answer his offer right away. For 2 days, I ignored the email James sent with the job description and application process. I figured it was just a formality, maybe something Mike told them to do to be polite. But then, something strange happened. I got a call from a blocked number. When I answered, no one said anything at first. I almost hung up until I heard the voice. Funny, isn't it? It was Daniel. How things come back around. I froze. What the hell do you want? I snapped. Oh, I just wanted to congratulate you, he said, voice dripping with sarcasm. I heard you might be crawling back to Mike. That job offer? It won't last. How do you know about that? He laughed. I have connections. You think Mike's going to keep you around once Amelia finds out who you are? I clenched the phone. He already knows who I am. Oh, he doesn't know everything. The line went dead. I stared at my reflection in the microwave door, feeling cold. I didn't know what Daniel meant, but I had this sinking feeling in my gut. I went back to the email and stared at the job offer again. Something told me I needed to take it, if for no other reason than to protect myself. I sent in the application and got a reply within 2 hours. Welcome aboard. That's how I found myself sitting in a glass office 2 weeks later, in one of the most competitive tech companies in Austin, working under a woman named Rachel who was all business and didn't care who I used to be. Mike didn't hover. In fact, he barely acknowledged me. At first, I was relieved. But then I started wondering, had he changed his mind? Was he just keeping an eye on me out of guilt? It didn't take long before the tension started. A week into the job, I received an anonymous email. He doesn't know you were pregnant when you left. But I do. Wonder what he'd think about that. My hands were shaking. No name, no signature. Just those words. And the truth is, I had been. I found out I was pregnant just a week after I moved in with Daniel. I never told Mike. And I never kept the baby. It was a decision I made in silence, wrapped in panic and shame. Daniel didn't want kids. He said, it'll ruin everything we're building. So I went through it alone, never telling a soul, and buried it deep. But now someone knew. And then it got worse. Rachel, my manager, called me into her office one morning. We received a complaint, she said. Nothing official, but someone said you might be using this position to sabotage the company from the inside. I stared at her. What? That's insane. I didn't believe it, she said. But there are eyes on you. Be careful. I knew who it was. Daniel was trying to ruin me again. I debated telling Mike. But how do you tell the man you betrayed that your ex is now trying to destroy everything he built and dragging you down with it? Then, one night, I saw him in the break room alone. He was heating up leftover pasta, scrolling through his phone. I walked in and he looked up, nodded. You look tired, he said. I am, I said. Do you have a second? He didn't say no, so I sat down. There's something I need to tell you, I began. Something I should have said a long time ago. He looked up. Waiting. When I left you, I was pregnant. The silence in that room was so thick I could barely breathe. He didn't speak. Just stared. I rushed ahead. I didn't keep it. Daniel didn't want kids. I was scared. I didn't know how to handle it. I buried it and never told anyone. But someone knows. I think Daniel is trying to mess with me again. He's spreading lies. He's trying to ruin my name. And now he's coming after you. Mike didn't say anything at first. Just stood there. Then he walked out of the room. I thought that was it. That I'd be fired, erased, blacklisted again. But the next morning, something unexpected happened. Rachel came into my office, closed the door, and smiled. Mike told me everything, she said. We've dealt with worse. You're not going anywhere. But we are pressing charges against Daniel. Cyber harassment. We've got logs, emails, phone records. Our legal team is handling it. I was stunned. You're keeping me on? Rachel shrugged. You've proven yourself. Mike believes in second chances. So do I. But now you have to prove to us that we didn't make a mistake. And just like that, the tables were turning again. But something still didn't sit right. That anonymous email. The timing. The precision. I started digging. I called my phone company. Asked about the blocked call. They couldn't trace it. But then I had a thought. What if it wasn't Daniel? What if someone else knew about the pregnancy? I went back through my old messages, emails, social media, and then I saw it, a forgotten message from my cousin, Ava, sent 2 years ago. You don't have to go through this alone. You know I'll keep your secret. I had told Ava. In a moment of weakness, during a trip home for Thanksgiving, she had sworn never to say anything. But Ava, she worked in HR. At Daniel's firm. I hadn't just been blindsided by Daniel. I'd been betrayed by family too. And suddenly, everything got more complicated. I sat in my car for almost an hour, staring at that old message from Ava, heart pounding in my ears. The pieces started falling together like a slow-motion train wreck. She had always been close to Daniel, even after I told her what he'd done. She said it was for networking, but now I knew better. She was feeding him information. She had been the leak. The next morning, I didn't go to the office. I went straight to Ava's apartment. She opened the door wearing her usual smug expression, sipping coffee like nothing was wrong. Wow, early morning surprise. Everything okay? You told him, I said, my voice shaking. You told Daniel about the pregnancy. Her smile faded. I don't know what you're. Don't lie to me, Ava. Just don't. She sighed. I didn't tell him. He guessed. I may have confirmed it. I blinked. Why? I was trying to protect you, she said weakly. Bullshit. She rolled her eyes. Look, you were spiraling. You were a mess. I thought maybe if he knew, he'd feel responsible. Maybe he'd come back, help you. You told a narcissist who didn't want a kid that I'd been pregnant, and then you handed him ammunition to destroy my career? You call that protection? You should have told Mike from the beginning, she snapped. Maybe none of this would have happened. That was it. That was the moment something inside me cracked. You don't get to decide what I should have done. You don't get to betray me and then act like I deserved it. Get out of my life. She didn't fight me. Just shut the door. And that was the last time I ever saw Ava. But it wasn't over yet. At the next team meeting at Innovatech, Mike walked into the conference room with James, Rachel, and the entire department present. It was supposed to be just another weekly update. Then Mike stood at the front and said, before we begin, there's something I need to address. The room went still. He looked straight at me. I need everyone here to understand something. The past doesn't define someone. The work they put in today, that's what matters. People glanced around. Some confused. Some tense. There's been a lot of noise behind the scenes. Rumors. Personal attacks. And I've had enough. We're a team. We protect each other. He didn't say my name. But everyone knew. Then James stood. Also, just to be clear, legal action has been initiated. Any attempt to interfere with the privacy or career of our staff, past or present, will be pursued to the full extent of the law. The room fell into silence again. When the meeting ended, I stayed behind. Mike walked over, quiet for a moment. You all right? He asked. I will be, I said. But you didn't have to do that. I did, he said simply. Because you deserved better. You still do. I looked at him. I've made so many mistakes. We all have, he said. But you showed up. That's more than some people ever do. I felt something twist inside me. Like everything I'd been holding back was bubbling to the surface. Mike, do you ever think we could have made it if I hadn't left? He took a long breath. Maybe. But that version of me. I wasn't ready. And neither were you. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. I'm proud of you, he added. Tears hit me without warning. For everything I lost. For everything I still didn't deserve. Later that week, Daniel was served a restraining order. And Innovatech's legal team made sure he'd never be able to mess with any of us again. As for Ava, I heard she left Daniel's firm shortly after. Word got out. People stopped trusting her. She moved to Denver. We never spoke again. I stayed at Innovatech. The work was tough, but it gave me purpose again. Slowly, I started making peace with the past. Mike and I never got back together. But there was an understanding between us, a quiet forgiveness. A respect. Sometimes we'd grab coffee after work and talk about the crazy road we took to get here. And sometimes I'd look at him and wonder, what if? But I don't live in what ifs anymore. Not after everything. I live in the now. And the now is enough.